When something goes wrong in the field, it may be your job to find the problem and fix it correctly. In the installation, maintenance, and repair of line equipment, there may be many situations where you may need to test the equipment to measure electrical quantities. These tests and measurements can be made using line test equipment. In this program, we'll learn which test device to use for a given situation, and we'll go over some of the safety guidelines you need to follow when using line test equipment. The devices that you'll be using may look different from those representative samples, but the basic principles of operation and use will be similar. Basically, there are three things that need to be considered when choosing the correct test device for a job: what you're going to measure, what kind of information you need, and what's the capacity or range of the test device. So let's start with what you're going to read. Is it voltage, current, resistance, or rotation? For example, a voltmeter is designed to measure voltage. If you try to use a voltmeter to get a current reading, it won't be the right information, and it could cause damage to the equipment or injury to the operator. Another important consideration is the type of information that you need. For example, the test device that you'd use to get an on-the-spot reading isn't going to be good if you want to find out a maximum value over a period of time. In other words, you wouldn't want to stand all day holding a clamp-on ammeter on a conductor watching for the highest current reading. To find that out, you'd hook up a recording ammeter and come back later. Most utilities have recording volt and amperage meters for measuring customer loads to dissect problems. The last basic consideration in choosing a test instrument is the device's range or capacity. You have to pick a test device that has a capacity to read the value that you expect to get. For example, if a device with a maximum capacity of only 600 volts is used to measure a value of more than 600 volts, the reading will be useless and the device could be damaged. Every test instrument has a maximum value that it can measure. That measurement is usually read on a scale. So, to read a meter accurately, you need to be able to understand how the different scales are interpreted. One of the most versatile pieces of line test equipment in a line worker's toolbox is a multimeter device like this one. It can measure a variety of values all in one instrument. You can set the ohms range switch and measure resistance for a breaker, and also check continuity of de-energized circuits. Checking and identifying cables in a circuit is very accurate. You can also set the range switch to measure voltage, and depending on the amount of accuracy, it can read tenths of a volt. With this same instrument, you can set the range to measure amperage by clipping the clamp jaw around a conductor. And we'll discuss this in detail later on in the program. This multimeter can assist a line worker in many ways by using the one device. But it is very important to know and understand which range setting is used to measure the correct value. These multimeters are equipped with a battery to display the value accurately and need to be maintained regularly. Remember from your past training that voltage measurements are a RMS or root mean square reading. This multimeter can measure direct current and alternating current. Category specifications are very important in selecting the correct meter for an accurate value. For instance, a Cat 3 is designed for low voltage measurements up to 600 volts, and a Cat 4 is designed for no more than 300 volts. It is very important to use the correct meter for the correct voltage, amperage, and resistance testing. If you're not sure what values to expect, choose a meter capable of reading the maximum possible value that you might run across. Then begin with the highest measurement scale to get a general reading. Then, the lower scales can be used to find the specific value. In addition to multimeters, there are a variety of more specialized tools that you can use to get specific line readings in specialized situations. These include ammeters, voltmeters, phasing sticks, rotation meters, and ground rod resistance test devices. Now we'll talk about what each of these tools is used for, but for now, look over the text in your workbook and answer the segment quiz. If you have any questions, ask your instructor.